meeting. We're going to open the meeting tonight with two public statements. First, Kevin Burnley is first, and then myself will speak. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 5:30.
Attempts have been made by the SAIL Governing Board to protect terminated employees and the 3 board members who were removed by not disclosing additional information about these administrative actions to the public. However, there has been such a substantial amount of false information that they have created in their departure that the board is now compelled to respond and assure our school community that our recent actions are the result of a singular objective, doing what is best for SAIL. As board members, this is our fiduciary obligation and we take it very seriously. Former Superintendent Christy Zagal was terminated for multiple reasons as set forth below. Number 1, Ms. Zagal was reprimanded in December of 2017 for 1, violation of SAIL's financial policy relating to a contract she executed on behalf of the school without board approval, and 2, for unprofessionalism arising out of disrespect she demonstrated towards certain board members. Second, in April 2018, Ms. Zagal began speaking publicly to the SAIL community about the construction of a new 20,000 square foot school facility called Phase 2. At this time, the board had not approved any expenditures for this project. Ms. Zagal also posted on Facebook that SAIL would be moving forward with expansion into high school, again without authorization from the board and prior even to the submission of a request for the State Charter Schools Commission for a charter amendment expanding SAIL to include 9th through 12th grades. In addition, Ms. Zagal showed plans and discussed the Phase 2 building during the open house activities for parents at the beginning of this school year. Again, to be clear, construction of this building has never been approved by the board. Number 2, on August 16, 2018, the board took the additional step of specifically directing Ms. Zagal not to discuss plans for Phase 2. Ms. Zagal immediately violated this directive by carrying on conversations about Phase 2 with parents and staff. At that same board meeting, the Phase 1 developer met with the board to answer questions regarding the potential for Phase 2. The board requested additional details on the construction costs from Phase 1, which were not provided by the developer. The board then indicated that it would seek bids for possible construction of a modular building. Ms. Zagal responded by criticizing the board, indicating a belief that the board's primary allegiance should be to the developer rather than to the best interest of SAIL. Number 3, in September 2018, the board discovered that Ms. Zagal had altered a proposal for the floor replacement in the dance room. Specifically, Ms. Zagal deleted a section of the document pertaining to installation of subfloor at additional cost. After further investigation, the board determined that no formal proposal had ever been submitted by the flooring company, only an email with the price and a link to the floor to be installed. SAIL's dance teacher met with the sales rep prior to installation, and with witnesses present, the sales rep stated that the subfloor could not be installed without cutting the door. To avoid this necessity, he indicated that he would install a thicker floor covering than what was originally planned, which proved costlier. The board concluded that Ms. Zagal altered the document in an attempt to hide the full cost of the replacement. Number 4, later in September, the board asked Ms. Zagal to present squeeze-in options after the board unanimously voted against proceeding with the Phase 2 project. Ms. Zagal encouraged staff members to attend the meeting, which was unusual and not her common practice. She then proceeded to present only options that were impractical and unreasonable, suggesting to those in attendance that SAIL's academic environment would be compromised if the board did not proceed with the proposed Phase 2 construction she favored. After termination, with the aid of members of SAIL's administrative staff, Ms. Zagal inserted an altered employment contract into her employment file. She also emailed almost 6,000 files to her personal email account. Some of these files included sensitive data. These actions in the files are now part of an ongoing criminal investigation. Dr. Mark Boyd was removed from the governing board because he repeatedly failed to perform his duties as chair. Prior to SAIL's opening, the State Charter Schools Commission had expressed concerns that Ms. Zagal would not be able to successfully transition from governing board chair to superintendent, and that Dr. Boyd would not be able to fulfill the duties of chair, which requires objective oversight of the school leader. given their past working relationship. These concerns proved to be well-founded. In March 2017, Dr. Boyd received a letter from the State Charter Schools Commission stating concerns with SAIL's proposed agreement to build and finance Phase 1. Dr. Boyd never shared the correspondence with any other board member. Indeed, had he fulfilled his fiduciary obligation to do so, it is uncertain whether Phase 1 would have received approval from the board. Moreover, Dr. Boyd refused to deliver reprimands and other directives to Ms. Zagal as instructed by the board, and failed to comply with his obligations as chair under the Open Meetings Act. In the executive session in which the termination of Ms. Zagal was discussed, Dr. Boyd chose to stop communicating with the board, requiring Vice Chair David Clark to moderate the remainder of the meeting. To date, Dr. Boyd still has not complied with his legal obligations to sign notarized affidavits for each of the board's executive sessions, and also failed to notify the county legal organ prior to at least one specially called meeting. Dr. Boyd also worked against the board while still a board member, encouraging staff and others to take action against the governing board. The remaining 2 board members refused to communicate to the other board members and were therefore removed due to their inability to fulfill their duties to the board. While it is unfortunate that these matters now require public disclosure, the board would like to reassure the entire SAIL community that we hold our fiduciary duty to the school in highest regard and have acted accordingly. Each member of this board is a volunteer. We are parents of students at this school. We are committed to ensuring that every child who comes through our doors receives the best education available. And we are dedicated to preserving and achieving the mission and vision of SAIL as set forth in its charter. That mission and vision continues to be our primary objective, and we ask that you please keep this in mind as we proceed with our board meeting tonight and receive your feedback during public comment. To the staff at SAIL, we thank you for the hard work you're doing every day, and we are here to support you. We want to hear from you, even if you disagree with us or have suggestions for us. We are all part of the SAIL family, and each of us is here to help move the ship forward together. We want you to know you matter and that your work matters. Please know that we understand this one simple truth: without our educators, we are not SAIL. We wouldn't have stellar test scores, and we wouldn't be cultivating our awesome scholars. You have a voice at this table also, and we strongly encourage you to speak directly to the current board. We are happy to arrange private meetings that work with your schedule. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. First of all, once again, I would like to thank you for attending this evening. We appreciate your commitment to the success of SAIL as well as your concerns regarding changes that have taken place over the last 30 days. Before we begin this evening's board meeting, I feel it's important to make a few things clear. We will not further discuss decisions that the board has made in the last 30 days beyond saying the decisions were appropriate and made solely in the best interest of our students. This is a meeting of the governing board of SAIL to conduct school business, not a town hall. We welcome guests to observe and of course encourage input from members of the public during the designated public comment time. However, disruptions of the meeting will not be tolerated, and we expect our guests to behave in a manner that is in accordance with common courtesy and decorum. We have been in contact with the Georgia Attorney General's office as they have received several complaints regarding the Georgia Open Records Act. We are working with our attorney to put together all requested documentation and responses, which is taking a considerable amount of time, energy, and resources from an already extended staff and budget. Please be aware that several months ago, I reviewed our bylaws and became concerned about the operations of the board and reached out to a charter school governance expert asking for direction regarding our roles and responsibilities. After reviewing that information, I personally reached out to our then board chair with my concerns. The response I received from the chair recommended that I ignore the bylaws, ignore the expert's advice, and leave the procedures alone. I share this story with you to show you that I understand the importance of transparency. Changes are being made to ensure this board acts appropriately. As a side note, if you look at the budget at the end of the year, you will note a sizable portion of it has been spent in legal fees. An unfortunate fact considering all of us would rather be spending the money on a science lab, computers, salaries for parapros, additional parking spaces, just to name a few. There is one more piece of alarming information that I must share with you tonight. Because of the transition in leadership, we have been conducting a series of audits to better understand the current state of affairs in the building. During one such audit, we identified what appears to be a records breach. Between September 21st of 2018 and October 3rd of 2018, approximately 5,906 records were transferred from a school account to a former employee to a personal Gmail account. It was not just shared for viewing only, it was shared with live edit access, which means the person was able to not only view the files and folders they had transferred, but also make changes and share these documents with others. We are working with the police to determine the extent of the breach. A letter will be sent to our families tomorrow with more details. The Governing Board of SAIL recognizes that stability is necessary as we move forward. To that end, we have been working to create an action plan for the future to ensure our school is sustainable and renewable. This evening we will discuss parts of that plan. As a broad overview, in the coming months, the board plans to amend our bylaws to better protect the school, revise the school's budget to more accurately reflect the school financial state and ensure financial stability, work with school leadership to revise the school's strategic plan to ensure that while we continue with the growth plan and the creation of our middle school, we are not jeopardizing the long-term financial stability of the school or entering into agreements that are not in the best interest of the school. Become better informed board members and more educated regarding our governance and oversight responsibilities. With the transparent public servants, be transparent to the public servants that our stakeholders deserve. Create policy that is supportive of the school and our stakeholders while ensuring accountability for both the board and school leadership. I want you to know that we have heard your concerns and we share in these concerns. Like you, we are SAIL parents, and these decisions were not made lightly or with any other objective than to ensure SAIL's success. The road ahead will not be easy. The board and school leadership understand that we have a lot of work ahead of us to stabilize the school and earn your trust again. The one thing I can tell you is that our students are getting a great education, that we have outstanding staff and faculty, and that our board is committed to the task at hand. Please bear with us as we continue to move forward and bring the SAIL governance up to meet the school's academic standards. Thank you.